to the Monopoly tutorial video. Today you'll be learning about this market structure in the most efficient way ever. And at the end of the video, you should have a very good framework about what this market structure is about. Okay, so let's start with the formal definition first. So what is a monopoly? Okay, the monopoly, right, is a person or an enterprise. Okay, it's not this guy over here. Okay, this is the monopoly guy. Okay, yeah, but it's there just for your entertainment purpose. Okay, it is a person or enterprise, okay, that is the only supplier of a particular commodity. And since this person is the only supplier, you should have a rough idea that this commodity is somewhat differentiated from the rest of the other commodities that are sold out there. Okay, and because of this, it has got the market power to control prices and discriminate prices. What does discriminating of prices mean? It means that it charges different prices to different markets. Okay, it has that power. Okay, and lastly, this market structure has got high barriers to entry. It is very difficult for people to enter. Okay, because of what? It is very expensive. Okay, because the technology that they have, the amount of capital that is needed to put into this business. Some things that protects the monopolies are things like patents, government bodies even, and skills, technology. So these things actually are barriers to entry. Okay, and also because the brand name of this particular monopoly is so strong, okay, other competitors will find it very hard to even have a foothold in the structure itself. Okay, so what are some examples of monopolies? Okay, not monopoly deal, okay. I can give you some examples that are nearer to home. Okay, PUB is one of it. Okay, our Public Utilities Board. Okay, they monopolize the business of our utilities, of our water and our electricity. Okay, now the second example is a little bit more interesting. Is SMRT and SBS. Okay, so are these two companies really monopolies? Well, if you talk about in terms of the taxi business, is it a monopoly? Or how about the buses? How about the MRT trains? So are they monopolies in this particular industries or not? Well, I can tell you for sure. Okay, one thing is that in the MRT business, okay, our our railway transport, okay, is a monopoly. Why? Okay, if you notice, you look at my second definition over here. It's the only supplier of a particular commodity. So now this commodity that is supplied by SMRT, for example, if you take the green line, the northwest, the east-west line, for example, it serves all the way from Jugun all the way to Pasir Ris. Okay, so this is the only commodity that we're talking about right now. Okay, a train ride from the west all the way to the east, and it's only supplied by SMRT. That's right. If you talk about the purple line, the northeast and south line, something like that, yeah. Okay, it is only supplied by SBS. Okay, it's a totally different company. So SMRT has a monopoly on the green line, whereas SBS has a monopoly on the purple line. Okay, so in that aspect, they are monopolies. Okay, so I hope that was a little bit of an interesting find out for you guys. And let me introduce you to the next thing, which is the market structure spectrum. Okay, in the previous video we learned about the perfect competition, and I can tell you the perfect competition is very, very different from the monopoly market structure. Okay, let me show you why. Okay, so we have a spectrum over here. Okay, on the right side we have all the monopolies, and on the left side we have the perfect competition market structure. Now, how they differ is that when we go towards being a monopoly, our price control ability increases, our market power increases, our barriers to entry increases, and our profits made will be increasing as well. As we move to the left, okay, the price control goes down. It can even be zero. Market power, it can even be zero. Barriers, literally no barriers. Profits, normal profits. Okay, so these are the two extreme ends of the spectrum. As you can see, there's oligopoly and there's monopolistic competition in the middle. Okay, this is what we'll be going through in the next few videos. Alright, now let's talk about more of the characteristics. The number of players for the perfect competition market structure will be increasing. Okay, and for efficiency wise, what kind of efficiency are we talking about? Productive or allocative? Make a guess. Okay, I hope that you have made the guess. Okay, the answer is allocative efficiency. All market structures aim to be productively efficient, and they are productively efficient. Okay, you will know why, okay, in the next few slides. Alright, now the most important thing that I would like you to take note of is market power. So how do we measure the monopolistic power of a particular firm? Okay, basically we will take marginal cost divided by a price. Okay, the lower this equation is, the more powerful it is. The higher it is, the less powerful. Okay, let me introduce to you a easy way to remember this. Okay, now think about your perfect competition market structure. They produce where P equals to MC, price equals to marginal cost. So if both of them are the same, you take MC divided by P, you should get 1. It's like taking X divided by X. Taking 3 divided by 3, you get 1. Okay, so the most powerless, okay, monopolistic power that you can think of is number 1, because that is for our monopolistic competition. Our perfect competition. If you look at our monopolistic monopoly, okay, they are producing at where price is much higher than MC. So the smaller this equation goes, okay, the more powerful they have, the more power they have. Alright, okay. So that's about the market structure spectrum. Okay, I'll be uploading this, okay, on the website so that you can actually download it for your own revision. Okay, let's move on to the technical aspects proper. Okay, yes, we love curves. Everybody loves curves, especially guys. Okay, let me show you what the monopoly's graph is going to look like first. Okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, let me orientate you to the ground. Okay, I'm going to be using my ruler. Okay, now this over here, okay, is your demand curve in blue. Okay, and this is your marginal cost curve. You know, the marginal cost curve doesn't exactly have to be a curve all the time. It can be a straight line as well. You know, if you draw it as a straight line, it's easier to see, and it also looks neater. Okay, and this purple line over here is your marginal revenue. Okay, recall that in perfect competition, your marginal revenue curve is horizontal. That's right, because the demand curve facing the firm is horizontal. Okay, so when you have a horizontal demand curve, you have a horizontal marginal revenue curve. Okay, so in this case we have a slanted demand curve, therefore our marginal revenue is slanted. Okay, and I can tell you that it is 2 times steeper. Now everybody say 2 times steeper. Okay, now why is it 2 times steeper? Let me show you. This is an equation for a typical demand curve. Okay, price of X, okay, the price of X, which is a factor of, which is a function of the quantity of X produced, equals to A minus BX. So what is A? A is simply our P-intercept over here, and B is our gradient. Okay, it's similar to Y equals to MX plus C. Okay, so now we talk about the marginal revenue curve. Okay, first let's find out how to find total revenue. So what is total revenue? Total revenue, okay, for example now, okay, I'm selling this pen for $5 a piece. Okay, so my marginal revenue, okay, is going to be $5 every time I sell one pen. Okay, so if one pen is $5, and if I sell 10 pens, it's going to be $50. So that will be my total revenue. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to take the price of X. Okay, this bracket over here, don't be confused. Okay, it's not price times X. It's the function of price. Okay, the price function, which is factored in by the quantity of X multiplied by quantity of X. Okay, so imagine that this is the $5 and this is the 10 pens that I sell. Okay, so I'm going to take this equation and put it here. So it's going to be this multiplied by this. I spend everything out, I'm going to get this. Okay, so this is my total revenue. Okay, next, to get marginal revenue, you just got to differentiate the total revenue by with respect to X. Okay, and you will get this. Okay, as you can see, if you compare this and this, you will notice that there is a number 2 in front of the B. Okay, so once there's a number 2 in front of the B, it just means that it is 2 times steeper than my demand curve, and that is why marginal revenue is 2 times steeper. Okay, now, the third point that I want to bring across to you is that the monopoly is a profit maximizing market structure. Yeah, okay, profit maximizing. And how do we know that? Okay, because it produces at MR equals to MC. Okay, so where is MR equals to MC? Let me see. Is it here? No, is it here? Yes, it's here. Okay, so let me show you how we're going to determine the quantity produced. So very simply put, okay, you're going to draw a vertical line, okay, like this. This is where they will produce. This point over here is MR equals to MC, and the monopoly will be producing X naught quantity. Okay, and the price they'll be charging is over here. Is that right? Nope, it's over here. Okay, because this is the demand curve, right? So they'll be charging this much, okay, at this point over here, P naught. Okay, so now we know how to find out how much the monopolies will be producing and charging at what price. Okay, moving on. Everybody loves revenue. Okay, so let me introduce you to this equation. Okay, it's the marginal revenue equation. Okay, it's price multiplied by bracket 1 minus 1 over the absolute value of the price elasticity of demand. Let's call it PED for short because there's a lot of words to say. Okay, so let's call it PED. Okay, so this is the equation. Okay, so now let's say it again. Repeat after me. MR equals to price multiplied by 1 minus 1 over the absolute value of PED. That's right. Okay, now if you notice that if I change the PED, if I play around with the PED, it will give me very different results for my MR. Yes. Okay, let's start with the first possibility first. Let's see that this PED less than 1. So what is PED less than 1? What does it tell me about the elasticity of the demand? Yes, it is inelastic. Now, if I'm going to have a PED that is less than 1, it's going to make this equation over here, okay, negative. Okay, because this is going to be a smaller number. When this is a smaller number, this gives me a number that is bigger than 1. Okay, and 1 minus a number that is bigger than 1 is going to be negative. Okay, so I'm going to have a negative over here. I'm going to have a negative value over here. And if I multiply that by my price, I'm going to get a negative marginal revenue. And we don't like that. Okay, so now going to the next point, if my PED is equal to 1, it's unity. Right? We call this the price elasticity of demand is unity. Okay, that means I'm going to have 1 minus 1 over 1, which is 1 minus 1, and that's equals to 0. And my marginal revenue will be 0, and we don't like that as well. Okay, but however, if I let my PED be more than 1, what does this tell me about the elasticity? It is very elastic. Okay, so when I have a figure that's more than 1 over here, and I put this to be more than 1, okay, this whole figure will be less than 1. 1 minus a figure that is less than 1 will give me a positive figure. Okay, so if I take my price multiplied by a positive figure, I'm going to get a positive MR. And that's where money comes in. That's where we're happy. So what can we conclude from this? Okay, think about it. The monopolist will always produce at the elastic portion of the demand curve. Now, let's talk about profits, right? Profits is a very interesting topic to talk about. Okay, so how do we determine the profits that are earned by the monopolist? Okay, it's at the mercy of the marginal cost curve. Okay, now we have a standard monopolist graph over here. Okay, let me show you how the monopolist will be making supernormal profit first. Okay, I'll be using a purple marker. Okay, and just let me show you. Okay, now MC, we know that the minimum AC is going to touch this point here. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a very simple AC curve. AC naught. Okay, as you can see, okay, my price is still covering all my costs. Okay, this is the amount of average cost over here. This is the amount of marginal cost over here. So this is my surplus. Alright, this is my profits. Okay, so how do I show that the monopolist is producing and achieving only normal profit? Obviously, I have to make my average cost past this point over here. So what's going to happen is, I'm going to draw an average cost curve, and it's going to be tangent to this point. It's going to bring it down to the MC curve, and it's going to start to go up again. So we call this AC1. As you can see, my AC is same as my price, so that it goes to show that my monopolist is earning normal profit. Okay, it will happen. Okay, this is important for you to know because when we move on to the monopolistic competition, okay, you will understand better. Now, how about losses? Very simple. Losses is like that. It's just a demand, just an average cost curve that is above the price, okay, and the losses are demarcated here. Okay, these are the losses. My cost is higher than my price. Okay, so that is how we're going to demarcate how we show the profit. Alright? Okay, now let's talk about efficiency. I think efficiency is like the more interesting part of our topic. Okay, so much cash and so little efficiency. Alright? Now, what is this efficiency that we're talking about? Is allocative efficiency. The reason why we are productively efficient is because when we produce at any point that is on the MC, okay, it shows that we are productively efficient. Why? Because the MC is derived from our total cost curves. Our total cost curves are derived from our isocon and isocost. Okay, and what does the isocon and isocost tell us? It tells us that the firm is maximizing its resources and minimizing its cost. That is why we are always productively efficient when we talk about producing at MR equals to MC. But we are not exactly allocatively efficient. Now, let me show you an example of an efficient market structure, which is our perfect competition. Okay, take a look at this. Alright, the demand curve over here and the supply curve over here. We are charging at this price, okay? Perfect com will always charge at this price. Okay, now think about this. Look, let's talk about the demand curve first. If the demand curve is this way, it just goes to show that there are some people who are willing to pay at this price. There are also some people who are willing to pay at this price. And there are also some people willing to pay at this price. So how many people are willing to pay at this price? Is this amount. You bring it down to the x-axis, it will show you this is the amount. How many people are willing to pay at this price? Same thing, this amount. This amount over here is the number of people who are willing to pay this price. But you've realized the people who are willing to pay this price can now get the good at P0. It's relatively cheaper to them because they are willing to pay a higher price. So what we call this is consumer surplus. It's a surplus because they could have been paying more, but now they're paying less, so they benefit from this lower cost. So this area over here is called the consumer surplus. Okay, so now let's go on to the bottom triangle. Okay, now the price is this much and the supply curve is here, so it just goes to show that the firm is willing to sell this quantity at this much. It is willing to sell this quantity at this much. It is willing to sell this quantity at this much. This much meaning the price. Okay, so it is getting P0 instead of this price. So that means it has benefited from this area over here because they could have charged much lower, but no, instead now they're getting a higher price. So that's why this part over here is what we call the producer surplus. This is the producer surplus. So as you can see, okay, it is very evenly distributed. Okay, everything is filled up. Okay, don't talk about this corner. Okay, now to understand this even further, let's talk about the inefficiency part. Let's talk about the monopolists and how inefficient it can be. Let's talk about the producer surplus first. Our price is here and people were willing to pay this much, but no. Okay, they paid this much instead, so this is their surplus. This is the producer surplus. Okay, so what is the brown part again? Producer surplus. What is the purple part? Producer surplus. That's right. Okay, so now the same thing for producer. This is the surplus. And we will stop here. Why? Okay, because this is the price. Over here, the price line stops it. Okay, people are no longer willing to pay here. Okay, because we are no longer willing to go here because this is the amount that's produced. Okay, imagine that the MR curve is this way. Okay, MR curve is this way. Okay, that's why we are made to produce here. So this is our producer surplus. And as you can see, okay, something that is different from this graph over here is that there is this area over here. So what is this area? This area, okay, is called the area of deadweight loss. Okay, we'll call this deadweight loss. Okay, so what's the big deal about deadweight loss? So what if you have deadweight loss? Okay, deadweight loss, alright, in definition is the loss in utility. Do you realize that, you know, that my consumer can actually be getting more out of this? The consumer surplus can be bigger if, let's say, the price were to go down. Okay, so my consumers are losing utility. Okay, so the definition of deadweight loss is loss in utility. This will be gone through further in general equilibrium. Okay, as of now, you just need to know this. Okay, the area of deadweight loss is equal to the loss in utility on whose part? The consumer's part. That's right. Okay, so we're almost there. Okay, let's talk about price discrimination first. Now, before I go on, okay, let's just talk about what is price discrimination. Okay, where there are two types of consumers, okay, and the monopolists can choose to charge a different price. Okay, and for example, okay, exporting to a foreign market. Okay, that's one example. We can charge the local market at this price, and we can charge the foreign market at another price. Okay, however, the monopolist is at the mercy of the government. okay, the government may or may not allow the monopolists to price discriminate. Okay, so we'll talk about that later. Just let me show you, okay, this concept called, okay, combining of the demand curves. Now, I have one market with a negative downward sloping demand curve, and I have a second market with a horizontal demand curve. So for example, maybe the foreign market, okay, has got a perfectly elastic demand. Okay, that is why the demand is horizontal. So we got to combine these together and we will get this. Okay, now why do we get this? Okay, it's because, okay, you notice that I do not extend the first market demand curve downwards. Why? Because if let's say I extend it, okay, why would I want to sell at this price when I can sell at this price? Okay, this price is higher than this price, so I would rather be here. Okay, so this is how I combine the two demand curves together. Okay, we cut it at where the price stops, okay, for market 2. And so this is how we sum up the demand curves. Okay, now let's explore price discrimination. Okay, now, okay, so what we have here is our new demand curve. Okay, this is a new demand curve over here. Alright, and we have our MC. Okay, now the only confusing part is the MR. Okay, if you realize that normally, you know, if we have like the demand curve going all the way down, we have our MR going all the way down as well. But the thing is that it kinks over here and becomes a horizontal line. Do you remember in perfect competition, okay, when the demand curve was horizontal, okay, what we had was a horizontal MR curve. So that is what we're going to have as well. The demand curve over here is equal to our MR curve. So the MR curve comes down, it goes up all the way here, and then it becomes straight, similar to the PC market structure. Now, where does the monopolist produce? Obviously at MR equals to MC. But now there are 2 points that we can produce at. It's either A or B. You see, this is MR, okay, MR, and this is MC. So it intersects at 2 points, point A, point B. So it has the option to produce at A, okay, which is X0, and sell it at P0, or produce at B, which is the quantity X1, and charge at P1. Okay, so let me just show you the whole graph right now. Now, so it has got 2 options. Let's say we are now talking about the monopolist who is not allowed to discriminate. What are we talking about again? Not allowed to discriminate. So it has only one price that it can charge at because of some law made by the government or something like that. Okay, so it can only charge at one price. Okay, now, if you can only charge at one price, how do we decide whether the monopoly should be at A or B? How? Okay, it's very simple. We need to identify, number 1, the area of loss, and number 2, the area of gain. How do I identify the area of loss first? Okay, as you can see, at this point over here, okay, MC is higher than my MR. So this triangle over here is my area of loss because my MC is higher than my MR. Okay, but if you look at this part over here, okay, you're moving on further from X0 all the way to X1, you will see that at this point over here, MR is higher than my MC. So this area over here is essentially an area of gain. Okay, this is my area of gain. Okay, so how do I decide? No, how should the monopolist decide whether to produce at X0 and charge at P0, or produce at X1 and charge at P1 to both markets? How? The answer is very simple. If my green area, which is my area of gain, is larger than my area of loss, I should produce at X1. Okay, but because the graph is not drawn to scale, we will never know whether the area of loss is bigger than the area of gain. Okay, so we have to state this assumption in our exam. Okay, when we answer the question, we have to say both scenarios. If the area of loss is bigger than the area of gain, we should not produce at X1. We should just produce at X0 and sell it at P0 to the first market. Okay, we will not export. Okay, now let's talk about, if let's say the area of gain is larger than the area of loss, that means it is profitable. You know, there is a chance of earning profits there. So what are we going to do? When we cannot price discriminate, we will sell X1. We will produce X1. And how much will we sell to the local market? It's going to be this much. From here to here. We'll call this X2. It is from here to here. We will produce and we'll sell it to the first market. And to the overseas market, how much are we going to sell? It's going to be from X2 to X1. Okay, so that's how much we are going to sell if we cannot price discriminate. Now, what if we can price discriminate? If you can price discriminate, obviously we will sell X0 at a price of P0 to the first market. Okay, because that's where we can gain the most revenue. Okay, that is, if we can price discriminate. So we will sell P0, okay, we will sell X0 at P0. Okay, now, how much are we going to sell to the overseas market? We are going to sell X1 minus P0, that means this much, to the overseas market, to the market 2. Okay, and because the area of gain is larger than the area of loss, we will produce this much and sell it this much to the foreign market, or to the second market, and we will still make a gain. That is only if, okay, the area of gain is bigger than the area of loss. What if it's the other way around? The area of loss is bigger than the area of gain. Okay, even though we can price discriminate, we will not sell to the overseas market. We will not sell to the alternative market. We will only produce X0, and then we will sell at P0 to the local market. Okay, we have come to the end of the market structure of monopoly, and I strongly feel that, you know, by now you should have a very good overview of what this market structure is about. Okay, so congratulations, you have learned something new today. Okay, and apply this to whatever I've learned. Okay, and learn actively. Okay, by applying whatever you've learned to real life examples. Go and ask yourself, so how is this company a monopolist? Okay, how is this company not a monopolist? Is this company being efficient? You know, how is it they are productively efficient? So you got to ask yourself this question in order to improve the way that you learn. Thank you.